The play opens on Christmas Eve with Nora in the living room returning from a shopping trip. When he hears her from the other room, Torvald enters and scolds her for spending money irresponsibly because they had just come from a time when they had to be careful with it, which refers the trip they had to take to Italy so Torvald could recover from the fatal disease. The maid comes in to inform them that their good friend Dr. Rank has come over. Miss Lind also visits and speaks with Nora about how she is recently widowed and that she wants to go to work. Miss Nora tells her that she can probably find work with her husband. Krogstad comes in and talks to her, and as it turns out, Nora took out a bond in her father's name 3 days after his death to pay for the trip to Italy. Knowing that she must have forged his signature, Krogstad blackmails her into convincing Torvald not to fire him at the bank. When Miss Lind talks to Torvald, he agrees to hire her and gives her Krogstad's old position. Krogstad comes back to yell at Nora, who tells him that she did her best. And when that just ain't good enough, he drops the letter into the locked mailbox, detailing exactly what Nora did to get all that money. She flips, and Krogstad leaves. She goes to Mrs. Lind in a panic, and she tells him she can persuade Krogstad to take the letter out. Nora distracts Torvald as best she can by telling him that she needs to practice for the tarantella that she's going to perform for all their guests at tonight's party. And after, they go straight to that party without Torvald checking his mail. Miss Lind successfully convinces Krogstad to put aside his immoral ways and return the bond to Torvald, but having witnessed their relationship firsthand, they decide that they need to come clean, and so she refuses to allow Krogstad to do anything about the letter in the box. When Torvald and Nora return from the party, Nora attempts to flee the house and commits suicide by jumping into a freezing pond. Torvald finally opens the mailbox and reads the letter, and he races down to find Nora and confront her. Through his angry tirade, Nora discovers exactly what he thinks of her and how he would really react to a situation like this. But a moment later, the maid comes in with another letter that has Krogstad's bond inside of it, and Torvald tries to retract everything he just said, but Nora is unconvinced and she makes the decision to separate from him. Torvald has no idea that his wife can actually think for herself. They have been married for 7 years and they have never once had a serious conversation about anything. And why would they? Torvald thinks that she has the intellectual capacity of a child. He never bothered taking the time to get to know his wife, which is why it's ironic in Act 3 when he tells her about how he likes to steal glances at her as if he doesn't know her and they're having an affair, because essentially that's exactly what they're doing, pretending they have a relationship that they don't. And another thing, Torvald's pretending as if he's in a position in which he hardly knows his wife, but he doesn't really need to pretend given the situation they're in. He likes the idea of being in a relationship with her, but he doesn't have a meaningful one in which he knows literally anything about what his wife really thinks or feels. The hilarious, ironic fact about Krogstad's past is that he has a shady reputation for forgery, which is exactly the crime that Nora has committed. And when she talks to her husband, he tells her all about this horribly immoral act, and to just think about how a guilty man like that has to lie and play the hypocrite with everyone, and how he has to wear a mask in the presence of those near and dear to him. And all the while, Torvald doesn't realize that's exactly what Nora is doing as she's speaking to him. And then, of course, he goes on to say that that it poisons children, so Nora's feeling great right about now. This work speaks quite a deal about the superficiality of marriage when it's just all about the appearance and not the relationship. Even in the final scene, when Nora makes it clear to her husband that it's done and over, he asks her to just live in the house and pretend as if everything is fine, because at this point, the only thing left to preserve is the appearance. It's also a major criticism of the justice system and its flaws. For Nora to take out a bond to save her husband's life is illegal. She was prepared to pay it all off through honest work and saving her money so extensively, but the law forbids her from doing it, and she ends up getting blackmailed, harassed, and insulted for doing something that had good intentions. Notably, this play is known for its feminist views. Even though the playwright denies any intention of writing it for a feminist cause, it still has some significance as a feminist piece because, as everyone keeps saying, it doesn't matter if the writer intends it, it's just there.